We will get started. Welcome, one and all, to Jag Blitz episode 11, the Gus Gonometer. I'm your host, La Boyd, and I'm with my wonderful co-host, the MC Wale.
I know that the gonometer is something that you created, but it sounds too much like gonorrhea, which is a bad thing. But then again, the gonometer probably is a bad thing as well.
Yeah, yes, we are stream slash podcast slash wonderful alternative to 1010XL. We talk about everything and anything Jaguar. And we're going to get into some nitty gritty. We got 3 topics this evening. We've got Game 5. Oi. we've,
Ah,
we've got the Gus Gonometer. And then we've got looking ahead to Game 6. So let's hop into it. How was Tampa, my friend?
Tampa, that is a fun city. Let me tell you what, man. Got to stay right near Ybor City. Like when I say right near, I mean literally steps away from all of the festivities, all of the restaurants and the bars and all of that stuff. So it was fantastic. I got there close to like 5 o'clock on Saturday, mainly because I was doing the tour of the entire like state of Florida. I was in Tallahassee the night before. But had a great time driving down there. Ybor City is a great place. It's a lot of fun. Good little vacation spot. A lot of night spots, which is awesome if you're into that kind of sort of thing. And then obviously, like going to the game on Sunday, the tailgate was fantastic. Getting up there and hanging out with all of those Jags and Bold City Brigade and Teal Street Hooligan members, it was definitely fantastic. And just seeing so much teal in Raymond James was hella interesting. The game outcome, not so great, and we'll get into that more. But overall, Tampa was a fun time, and I have no problem doing that again.
I have no love lost with Tampa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went. I brought your boy, and I won't say his name. So brought him with me. And we went down Saturday, and we went down fairly early because he told me, he's like, I want to get there, I want to get there, I want to get there. And I was like, okay, fine. So we check into this hotel slash motel over by Hogan's bar or whatever and club, and which had a gorgeous view, wonderful view of the bay, was phenomenal. Though the place stayed rocking until about 4 o'clock, and I could hear it at night. And it was actually fairly close to the stadium and to the airport or whatever, so I wasn't near Ybor City where all of BCB and most of Jaguar Nation that went down there. And we get there at about 1, take an Uber, go to a restaurant, eat, drink a pitcher, go meet my boss.
Oh, your boss was down there?
Yeah, he came with us.
Oh,
Not
my.
with us, but he sat with us. And then go meet my boss, go to a restaurant, watch the Gator game, drink more, go to some extracurricular activities.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
Per se.
yes, you do.
I think I can put it together, but I'm just gonna use my imagination here.
Yes, use your imagination. So we did some extracurricular activities, right? So by the time this happened, we have drank a lot, and we go to this one place, and this one place was terrible. And he was like, he's doing this like, I'm like, okay, we gotta go because they're gonna kick us out of here. So,
Oh, was he starting trouble?
Oh, the person that was interested in him and they mistreated me and my boss. So
Oh.
because of that, I was like, we gotta go because she reported us to the bouncers.
Yeesh.
So we go across the street. We get there, we get our beers, we're having a good time for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden he starts going,
Oh,
all over the floor.
rookie, no, that is a rookie mistake.
All
man.
over the, like, just insane crazy all over the floor. I look over, I'm like, we gotta go, go before somebody's, and it's just going and going. And then my boss gets up, he's like, oh, it just has that look of like, why? So it's only like 11:30. It's not 2 in the morning.
Yo,
or
so
what-
it's not even super late, and you guys had already
yeah.
hit a wall. That
He
man.
hit a wall. So we get outside. He's like in the median, just continuing to go. My boss is like, I gotta pee. He goes back in. They're like, we need you to give us $30 to clean this shit up. He's like, okay, here you go. Take it. I gotta pee. We take an Uber back, drop my boss off. My boss is like, peace. Just leaves us. So I'm sitting there with
Had
him,
to get going.
him hanging out the window of the car, and the Uber driver's like, "Are you guys okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I'm straight." He's still going. I'm like, "Here's the address. Ping, go." And he's continuing to go and go and go. And the Uber driver's like, "I really hope I don't have to charge you a cleaning fee." Blah, blah. I'm like, "Please don't. Please, no, no, no." I'm like handing him bags and everything because he like slid back in the car. So hand him bags. Didn't use the bags. Take him to the hotel room, put him in bed or whatever, and finally I look at my receipt, $100 cleaning fee. I
Oh
was like,
my.
I'm gonna kill this person. I'm gonna kill this person when he wakes up. Oh my gosh. So he wakes up, he's like, "Hey, can you go downstairs and get me something to drink? Cause blah blah blah." I was like, "Fine." Go downstairs. I make a rookie mistake, forget my key to the room. And then I go back up. He's passed out. He is passed out. Wouldn't wake up. Had to go back downstairs. Like, "Yeah, my friend is drunk. Can you let me back in?" And they're like, and it's about 1 o'clock at this point in time.
Right.
And the lady looks at me. She's like, "Here's 2 new keys. Don't come back."
Yeah.
So go back upstairs. And then next day, great. The thing that BCB put on, phenomenal. One of the greatest experiences I've ever had. Of course, the outcome of the game, which we'll talk about, not so much, but seeing people from BCBLA, other parts of BCB, running into people I've never met before, it was something, and I'm sure there are other fan bases that do it, but it was something that I just haven't seen before, to see that many people. There's probably like 2,000 plus people in that tailgate, because there was 3 buses from Jacksonville, and then 5 buses from the hotel.
Yeah, not to mention all of the people that drove,
Uh-huh.
Ubered in, all of that stuff. So it was definitely a good time, but
Oh, it was.
unfortunately, the outcome of the game still just disappointed.
Oh yeah, the way we had a semi tractor trailer of beer, 2 wine stands, bunch of water, and then 2 food trucks from Jacksonville, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. On Sunday morning, we woke up like 8 o'clock. Let's GTFO. Let's get out of here. I'm done. I don't want to be in Tampa anymore. I'm sick of it. Let's get out of here. Nice city. Nothing against anybody that lives there, but I don't want to be there.
Like I said, I could do another trip to Tampa. I had a blast down there. I had a good time. I think you just have to make sure if you go with rookies, they handle their
Yes,
their
they
stuff.
handle their own. They hold their own.
Yep.
So let's get into it. Game 5. What'd you think?
Disappointing, mainly because you're looking at the offensive side of the ball. The offense played as well as you're gonna see them play. Unfortunately, 2 costly turnovers, one interception by Blake, which was just a bad throw, and then obviously the turnover late in the third quarter with Corey Grant on a toss sweep that resulted into a Buccaneers touchdown. Well, that's what kind of set the chain in motion for the loss. But I'm looking at Blake, and like, he threw for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, and has this over 60% completion rating, and I don't see how you still lose. Oh wait, I do see how you lose, because you can't stop anybody from
Martin.
running the ball. You can't stop Doug Martin. You can't stop Charles Sims. You can't stop even freaking Jameis Winston from scampering for 30, 40 yards. So this loss falls strictly and solely on the coaching staff. The coaches did not have the defense prepared. I understand that, yes, you're without your best run stuffing player in, Paul Posluszny, but there is no excuse that Doug Martin and Charles Sims rushed for almost 200 yards and multiple touchdowns on your defense that you're supposed to be good at coaching, because hey, you're a defensive coordinator. Gus is wearing a lot of people's patience thin. I was already done with him a couple of weeks ago. I hope he can turn it around, but man, this did not leave a good taste in a lot of Jaguars fans' mouths at all.
Yeah, so for me, I had to wait for somebody because a buddy of mine and his significant other couldn't make the game, so I had to stand outside the stadium and sell them to somebody, which was a terrible, horrible experience of mine, and I'll never do it again. But I got in there, and there was 8,000 teal and black. And I felt very proud as somebody that wears teal or black or teal and white or whatever the color mix is for the game, I was very happy to see these two sections just packed. And then there was like 6 or 7 rows all the way across the end zone where the pirate ship was. And I felt very good. And for the first quarter and a half, we were really, really loud. And we were louder than all the Bucks fans. And all the Bucks fans looked at us like, why? Why are you here? Go away. Go home. And barring the stupid pirate ship, which is the worst gimmick in the whole wide world, and not being able to hear the announcer, and of course, I'm not even going to pick on the scoreboards. That is what it is. But it was just, we got there, and they just ran the ball. And
That's all they had to do, and that's the upsetting part.
And the terrible thing is they didn't run like screens, or they didn't run like on the edges. They ran it right down our throat. Right down our throat through the middle, the teeth of our defense, which is where we are supposed to be the strongest on our defensive tackles. And Jameis didn't even throw for 200 yards. I mean, he was like 198 yards, but still, he didn't even they basically were like, hey, Jameis, we know you're not that good yet. Let's just feed Doug Martin. And the fans right in front of us kept saying, okay, guys, calm down. They were like sensible Bucks fans, like, calm down. Jameis could still throw this away. Jameis could fumble the ball. And it's like Lovie Smith out-coached Gus Bradley. Like, I'm not even going to risk it. This isn't going to happen. We're going to feed Doug Martin and Sims and just
hope for the best.
And it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It worked because they scored 15 points off turnovers. And my wife, when I got back, she's like, what about that whole Jameis semi-fumble forward pass deal? And I'm like, it doesn't matter at that point. Yes, we're without pause. House got hurt in the game. But they just rolled us. And at halftime and then through the third quarter, my boss was bugging the crap out of me. And I ended up leaving because my boss and your boy, bugged the crap out of me about getting out of the stadium early because they were afraid we were going to lose by 30 or 40 points. And it was really disappointing because my childhood friend was standing beside me. I looked at him and I sit there and was like, I got to go. And the stupid cannons, oh my gosh, that I could go a lifetime without hearing that and be fine.
I didn't mind the cannon so much. I guess it's gimmicky, but
It is.
I don't mind it. But it's part of their fan. Like, it's if you're the Buccaneers and you got a pirate ship in your stadium, that makes sense. Like,
I get to an
the
extent to shoot it off, but not for every point, every time in the red zone, every time I kick off.
I mean, you got to. You might as well. It's expensive.
And then,
might as well use it.
And then the fights that broke out because I saw that you were behind us towards the end of the game before I left. The fights that broke out right ahead of us, where the pirate ship was intentionally pegging Jaguar fans with beads and T-shirts.
Oh, we were throwing that stuff back though.
Yeah, and then the people ahead of us were pegging Jaguars fans, and the freaking cops got involved, and I had to pull people aside. I'm just sitting there like, I don't need to get in a fight. I don't need to get punched in the face. This is.
I almost got in a fight, but I'll talk about that off air.
But no, as a whole, we laid a goose egg. That's Gus's third goose egg this season. If you're going to count this game, the Colts game, and then you're going to count the good old Carolina game. No adjustments on defense. The offense was not great. Blake looked good and great. He was the only, for me, shining moment of the game. TJ didn't do much. TJ got hurt.
The Allens were good.
Yes, Allen Robinson, Allen Hearns, wonderful. I was kind of disappointed they only targeted Julius Thomas twice, and I'm sitting there.
There were a couple opportunities, but I think it's because Blake just hadn't had them in practice.
Yeah,
so
and
it takes some time to
the offensive
get used
line
to it.
let Blake get sacked 6 times. So
Zane Beatles let Blake get sacked about 4 out of those 6 times.
I feel bad because I don't remember this guy's Twitter handle, so I apologize. Hank. Anyway, it's Hank
Jones?
Yes, Hank Jones. Zane Beatles was responsible for 3 sacks. What was another one? Parnell was responsible for 1. TJ missed a block on another. and
Then
then
Blake was responsible for
Blake was responsible for last. Yeah. So, but seriously, Blake looked great. He is on pace for a not phenomenal, but a good season. And I'm sitting there looking at myself. Okay, we can't win when we score 13. We can't win when we score
we scored
31.
31.
Why?
Where's the line?
Yep. So it was definitely a letdown, and we'll get into it right now. The Gus Gonometer. The press conference afterwards was a joke. Straight up, a joke. Like, Gus gets up and says, "We're not at rock bottom, but something feels wrong." How is this not rock bottom? We gave one, if not the worst teams in the league, like, re-energization. And we gave Doug Martin the game of the year, basically. How is this not rock bottom after you lose to a 40-year-old quarterback?
The reason it's not rock bottom is because this is something that Jags fans wished for in the offseason, but when in all actuality don't really want to see it. They're competitive. They have been competitive in 4 out of the 5 games they've played. It may not have been great, but they were in it even late into going into the fourth quarter, and that's what you wanted to see. That's what you hoped for, and unfortunately, we're just not seeing them push through and get to the other side of those wins. You know, we can phrase it however we want. We want 6 wins. We want we want to see progress. We want to see our team being in the games late in the fourth quarter. And like I said, 4 out of the 5 games they were competitive. The team had an opportunity to either make it close or get into a position to where they could win the game. And unfortunately, they just have not punched through that particular wall yet.
To me, I wanted to be competitive last year.
That was not possible last year. I don't know what you were thinking.
To me, if we're going on this bell curve, that is what they told us when Dave Caldwell and Gus Bradley stepped on, I figured their first year would be trash, which it was. And I thought, okay, year 2 will be kind of competitive to an extent, and game 3 should be where we're kind of going to the precipice of actually being good, where it seems like coaching continues to hold us back in close games. Whether we're talking Carolina with no points scored in the second half, or Indy even more so.
Is this the bell curve you're talking about right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still like right here.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just sitting there going to myself and my childhood friend, where I'm looking at him and he's just looking at me like, why? What did we do to piss off the football gods in Tampa? And I'm sitting there going like, I don't know. And that's where we'll go over. My Gus Gonometer is at a 10 at this point in time. I'm done. I really, 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 really like Gus, and it's not because I don't like him. It's not because I don't appreciate what he did the first 2 years. I just don't. We talked about it last week. I don't think he has enough to call people out and to be that kind of jerk when needed be, and to make those adjustments at halftime, or adjustments in game for that matter, in the moment, to sit there and say, hey, here we're at, especially considering we have a quarterback that's in technically the top 10 in passer rating and 2 wide receivers in the top 15 in receiving since Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardell, Mark Brunell, and we are 1-4. So what are your thoughts?
My Gus Gonometer is at, and this is after many revisions, because directly after games it's usually at 11, but I've calmed down and I'd put my Gus Gonometer at about a 4. And the reason I say that it's a 4 is because, look, they're not going to fire the guy unless if they lose the next 2 games, he might not make it back from London, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to find a way to win one of the next 2. It's going to happen. So here's what I'm assuming. It's just that he's got, like, he's a first-time head coach. Like, and I know that even though he's got 2 years of experience under his belt, it's still not necessarily enough. His philosophy is interesting. It remains to be seen if being positive 100% is going to work. It's not just the positivity though. I think that it's just that he has to do what's going to make this team more successful. And whether that's, I don't know. Maybe you have to get rid of Bob Babich and start taking over play calls, or maybe be a little bit more aggressive when you have the opportunities to do so instead of sitting back. Might need to shift up the roster a little bit. You might need to bench Clemens and bring Chris Smith back up, and let him be active. Let Chris Smith and Ryan Davis take over for Andre Branch and Chris Clemens, and see if you can't generate some pass rush and see if those guys are even worth even being backups on the squad. You've got to do something. But I'm not at the point where I want to fire the guy, because look, what's going to happen is going to happen. Either he gets it turned around and we're going to be singing his praises, or he's not going to be able to get it turned around. He enters a third lackluster season, and whatever happens with him happens. I look at this roster as a roster that's capable of winning a couple of games. They should be able to do so, and so far they've been in the position to do so. They just haven't been able to punch through.
So my feeling on this with first-time head coaches, you got a first-time head coach in Atlanta. They're undefeated. Bruce Arians is technically a first-time head coach in Arizona.
He's not, because he technically coached for the Colts.
Yeah, and they had a wonderful season.
They also had Andrew Luck, and
I'm just saying, first-time head coaches. Rex Ryan took first-time head coach, took the New York Jets with Mark Sanchez to back-to-back AFC championships. So
go back and look at those rosters, my friend. And the problem,
I'm just saying, if we're talking about first-time head coaches, the Harbaugh brothers have been wonderful at first-time head coaching. Specifically one with Alex Smith, and a lackluster 49ers. In his second year, they go to the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse for Gus.
It's a circumstantial situation, though, man. Like, I know that you're looking at a roster that's a roster that probably couldn't beat a college football team. Let's just be real.
Really?
When they took over, I'm being a little facetious here when I say that.
Okay.
But it was that, like, those. If you noticed, all the guys that we cut from that squad, none of them are playing in the NFL right now. None of those guys.
True.
From the initial first cuts. When you made the second cuts, you're looking at guys like Daryl Smith. That's a miss. That's a guy that you probably should have kept on your roster because he still had some football left in him. But you didn't know because he got injured and he reached that age of like 30, 31, 32. You could go either way. JT Thomas, not re-signing him in the offseason is looking to be a big mistake here. But, once again, it's a guy that was, I don't even think he was a drafted pick. He wasn't a draft pick. He was the guy that came off of waivers from another team and filled in pretty well. But, they decided that, hey, I feel this guy's not going to be long for the squad, and so we're not going to attempt to re-sign him, and it's looking to be a mistake. I'm not saying that Dave's not without fault here, but I'm saying that, like, between Gus and Dave, more of the fault falls on Gus than it does on Dave, because you've got players on the squad that are capable of making plays for you. And once again, using the example, we've been in outside of the Pats game, we've been in all of the games, with an opportunity to win them. So it's just Gus has got to find a way to turn it around, and I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's got to figure some sort of way of doing it.
I think if we lose this game against Ryan Hoyer
or Ryan Mallett, because you're not quite sure.
Yeah, that Bob Babich. I think Bob Babich is the next on the totem pole per se that's gonna go.
I agree.
So we fired Jed Fish, brought in Greg Olson, brought in Doug Marrone, and I think that if the defense has another lackluster outing against a very, very, very subpar Hopkins, I get it. Mike K, love you, right here. But for the house to say that Hopkins is somehow harder than Mike Evans and not Victor, what's his name? The other dude,
Vincent Jackson
is absurd.
Those guys are 6'6" and 6'5". That's why I said it might have been tougher.
You know, that to me is absurd versus DeAndre Hopkins and who else on that offensive on that.
Cecil Shorts.
Yeah, not even. I love Cecil. Thank you so much. Love you, but I mean, I'm not going to compare you to Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans. I'm just not. They don't have a number one and number two, and we for the most part shut them down, and we just couldn't cover Doug Martin, and now we have good old guy from Tennessee that's gonna just run all over our face, and I'm just sitting there
Arian
going,
Foster.
I'm just sitting there going, Aaron Foster and Alfred Blue. I'm just sitting there going, please, please, please. That, and for the love of God, please do not re-energize J.J. Watt's career in this season, because he's been, for the most part, non-existent. Haven't heard of him. And I have this bad feeling that the offensive line is going to allow J.J. Watt like 4 sacks. And now she's like, oh, yeah, J.J. Watt's back. J.J. Watt. So we'll roll right into our next discussion. Next game, Game 6, Texans here. I'll be there. Be my wife's first game of the season.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
It's a winnable game.
Okay.
I think I've been saying that for a few weeks now, and for some reason I still keep believing it. But no, this is a Texans team that is not as good as they expected to be, and they take a pretty tough loss to the Colts. I don't know if Clowney's going to be able to play. If they're without Clowney, then that means you're looking at double teaming J.J. Watt even more,
Please.
which would probably play better into your hands. The fact that I think that the Jags are starting to get a couple of pieces back. If Paz can find the strength somehow, and this is funny coming from me, a guy who doesn't like Paz Leslie at all, as much as the rest of the Jaguar fan base does. If Paz can find the inner strength from the depths and is able to come and make some, play on the squad on Sunday, Derek Marks is able to finally go and can provide some meaningful snaps and feel confident in that ACL and that knee where he feels that he's going to be okay. If Denard Robinson, my boy, my running back, if D-Rob is truly back and is in the rotation and in the fold, and Julius Thomas is feeling a lot more confident in that hand, I mean, look out. You're looking at an offense that can actually start to move the ball like they did in the preseason. And then that's not to mention, if James Sample is a guy that can, recover from injury and just tighten up on your defensive side of the ball. If you can tighten up, stop the run and kind of force them to pass the ball, you've got a good shot. But once again, this is the Jaguars and they'll find a way to muck it up. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm right there. Mike Kay and a bunch of other, wonderful folks who cover the Jaguars in local media announced a bunch of players. You kind of called it off, say D-Rob and Marks. They're probably the 2 biggest names that have potential to start or rather be fill-ins. Toby Gerhart getting a lot of reps with the ones. It was like,
that doesn't bother me. If the offensive line plays decently, he'll get some yards. He'll be all right.
Okay. And then probably the beginning of the week did not start off with Blake injury and Henny, and we signed Jeff Toole again to practice squad, but it looks like Blake will start and that his injury was fairly minor. I spoke about it earlier. My concern is that we're going to fall flat again, and that J.J. Watt, who's been, for the most part, fairly silent this whole season, will get 3, 4, 5 sacks by himself. And roided out Brian Cushing will have a great game. He'll be like, this is what's going to happen. So that's the part of me that worries. Yes, we got Thomas back, so hopefully with a week of preparation, a week of knowing that Thomas will be back, we'll see some more dual tight end sets with Thomas and Lewis or Thomas and Harbor. And of course, D-Rob. I would love, even if TJ's out, which I hope he's not out, but if TJ's out and D-Rob, I hope D-Rob runs for 100 plus yards. I would love see D-Rob have another game like he did against Cleveland last year. A phenomenal game where we lean on a running game and go to it. The people that I'm really, really waiting to come back are Lee. Like, where you retweeted that tweet
Oh
of her
my
and
God.
Robinson
I
and the albino tiger in the middle. I'm sitting there going, oh.
When I saw that come across my timeline, I literally yell laughed. Like in my office, 5 other people around, and I literally laughed so hard. I laughed so hard at that. It was the funniest thing I think. It's the funniest thing I've seen all week, by
It
far.
was good. I'm just sitting there looking at myself going, okay. It made me want to make sure that we draft Doxson from TCU next year, but whatever. And I'm just sitting there going, okay, we will have pieces back. And again, I'm right there with you. I think this game is winnable. I don't think this game is not winnable. The Texans haven't looked very good. You double cover Hopkins and say, all right, everybody else beat us. That's
Right.
all you do.
That's all you want.
And I am not confident at all that we will because of our coaching staff. I don't know if Gus can pull it out. If Gus can win this game and the next game before the break, we are 3-4. I think that the Gus Gonometer goes down for me, and I think that everybody says okay. But the fact that he has a horrible win-loss record at this point in time, worse than anybody else, including Steve Mariucci, who got let go out of the Lions. I just don't see it happening. I'll be there. Again, first game, my wife and I'll be there. Be there with BCB and Teal Street Hooligans, tailgating early. I know you'll be there to MC the event.
Yes, sir. I'll be working.
And it's just one of those things where I really, really, really hope that they show up for a full game, not a half.
And that makes sense, and I get that. So, I hope they find a way to win. It'll be good for the fan base. It'd be good for them, But it really just falls all on
Coaching.
game planning. Find a way to make it work. Gus, this is on you, buddy.
I agree, and to hear him in the press conference say that preparation and not the players, factored into our loss on last Sunday against the Bucks, just more reaffirmed me saying it's coaching, because it's like he almost acknowledged that it was him and the coaching staff, like, oh, it's preparation and how we prepare for the game. That's you.
That's on you. That's you, bro.
Nobody else. That's you.
Exactly.
So, all right, we will check you all next week. We were at 9 o'clock this night. We're typically at 8.
My apologies. I had some adult stuff that I had to take care of on Monday, which shifted one of the shows that I usually do on Monday nights and shifted it to Wednesday. So I'll plug that. Win the Points. If you've ever want to hear about other sports, not just Jaguars football, you can find us on Twitter at Win the Points Pod, and you can find all the information on there.
So we will catch y'all next week. Follow Wale at the MC Wale. Myself at La Boyd, and you can catch us out on YouTube at Jag Blitz at YouTube. We will see y'all next week. Hopefully, Jags win. Game 6. Maybe.
It'll be a lot more interesting if they win, but it'd also be a dumpster fire if they lose. It'll be anger central if that happens.
Oh, you have no idea. Yeah, but.